Okay, my students, so today you are going to be working on a crystal formation inquiry. And you might be thinking, crystal formation inquiry, well, first of all, what do you mean by inquiry? And so inquiry means to wonder and discover. So we're going to be practicing today the process of science by wondering about crystal formation and then working to discover something about that. And as you learned last week with your guided notes, that really is the process of science. So we are definitely practicing the process of science in preparation for an upcoming quiz. But the crystal formation part is also really important. Next week, we're going to be starting our study of our first major unit, which is called Rocks and Minerals. And crystal formation is a really important process of the rock cycle, and it's also important to identifying minerals. So this fits in not only to our science skills and the process of science, but also the science content of our Rocks and Minerals unit. So today I'm going to be showing you how to do this. I'm going to be showing you a rock candy recipe, and then after this you're going to be generating questions, I wonder questions, about how we could actually change this up. So for now, I want you to watch the process of me making rock candy, and we will have this in our classroom to observe. And then after that, I'll help you with the fill in the blanks of exactly what to put in there as a review. So just go ahead and watch first. Okay, so here's what I'm starting with. I'm starting with a glass jar, and I'm going to fill this jar 1/3 of the way full of boiling water. And it's important that it's boiling because that's going to help the sugar to dissolve. Now this part we do have to be kind of quick about. Now if you're thinking 1/3, remember that's less than half. So I have it now 1/3 full of hot water. Next, I'm going to begin adding sugar a little bit at a time and stirring as I go. And I don't stop adding the sugar until I can't get any more to dissolve. Let's see if I can get this a little closer. No, that's actually worse. Okay, let me really focus down on what I'm doing here. Okay, so I dump quite a bit of sugar in. Oh, that looks like a lot. Now I stir, stir, stir. And honestly, as I look, it's dissolving perfectly. I'm not seeing any solid bits, so I keep going. And you might be at home or in my class thinking, geez, this woman's adding a lot of sugar. A lot is what it takes. When you heat up that water, the molecules spread apart, and lots of sugar can be added. I think I can even do more. Oh, ooh, I hope that wasn't too much. Okay, I'm stirring, stirring, stirring. I'm not seeing any little solid bits yet, okay? So I'm adding more. Let's see how this is. I think I can do just a little bit. It sure is getting thick, much more densely packed. Oh, that's it. So now it's getting more difficult to stir. And I can see a few little solid sugar grains at the top, so I think that's perfect. So our next step, and we would actually be on step 5, I've already done. So let me show you this. I've made a rock candy holder. It's very simple. I've used a pencil, but you could use a straw or a paintbrush like you see up here. Then I have a string attached to it with a paper clip just to weight it down. Now this next part is actually super important. You have to wet the string. Let me get it good and wet. And then what I'm going to do next, I have a little paper towel here. It's hard to see, I understand, but it's got sugar on it. And you have to coat that paper towel in the sugar. And the way I've read about this is these are seed crystals to help your rock candy to form properly. And from there, we're almost done. You then just gently sit the rock candy holder at the top, and I know the solution's really thick, but the paper clip allows it to weight right down, and the final step is to cover it loosely with a paper towel. Okay, that, my students, is how you make rock candy. Now, of course, I didn't type this in there, but the final step would be waiting. It's not going to happen immediately, but we'll start seeing changes. So now as you look up at the screen with me, our first step, remember, was to heat it to boiling, so that'd be number 1. 1/3 full with water, and then we keep adding sugar until it can't possibly dissolve anymore. That's how we knew when to stop. Okay, now 5 and 6, The rock candy holder has a stick, which I used a pencil, a string, and a paper clip. We had to get it wet and coated in sugar. And then the 7th step, we put the rock candy holder in the jar, like laying on top of it, and then we covered it loosely. So now your next task is to think about, well, I wonder what would happen to the results with the rock candy if we changed. So think about everything that you watched me do and think how it could be different.